Manuel Manyasa, Executive Director of Sawa Agenda, and Janet Muthoni Ouko, former Education CEC right in Nairobi County. Thank you so much for making time. And Manyasa, I'll start with you on this. Did the government make a mistake by opening the schools now? Should they have waited longer?
Thank you, Trevor, for having me. First, allow me to use this moment to pass a message of condolences to the very many families across the country that have lost loved ones. We thank God for the rest of us who are still alive. We know that a lot of families are going through difficult times in the places where families have been displaced. Today our team was in Mathare. The situation there is dire, and we can only call upon every other actor to do something about this. Did the government make a mistake? I don't think so. I think it is fine to open schools right now, given the fact that the floods are going in circles. Now it is the coastal region being affected this time, and we don't know how long we can be able to wait them out. So I think that opening schools is okay. What we need is a plan to ensure that there is no child who will lose learning time because their school has been affected by the flooding problem, or because the family has been displaced by the flooding problem. I think that is what we need. Opening is okay at the moment.
Okay. Janet, were we ready to open?
We were always ready to open schools because from where I sit, I think the biggest disaster that happened to the sector is not floods. Actually, is the withdrawal of government funding from schools. That is the biggest disaster, alongside the failure by government to ensure competent leadership for the sector. I think those are the two biggest tragedies of our time as we are speaking right now, because even opening and delayed opening is one thing, but then opening for what? Floods are not the only necessary condition. That the absence of floods now says that you can open school. How do you open school without money? How do you open school without resources? As a matter of fact, schools are supposed to be closed because when they're open right now, it's only a decoy. We know so many schools that nothing is happening. If there is no chalk, there is nothing, especially our public primary schools, there is nothing that is happening. So is it only opening for the sake of opening to just pass time, or what exactly? Are there transactions happening in our schools today?
Okay. And that's a fundamental question, but let me bring in again Dr. Manyasa. 71 schools did not open.
Yeah.
So ideally, what should be done for these learners to catch up? Because it's a section of them, not everyone. Just about 71 schools.
Several things need to happen. First, we need to appreciate that even when schools open on time, a lot of schools waste the first and second week. So for me, taking into account the fact that some of the schools are not opening on time and that we have delayed opening for all the schools, we need to make sure that the things that make learners waste time when schools have opened are addressed. What are those things? Funding. Send capitation to schools on time so that schools are not under pressure to send away learners to look for money, because a lot of schools and a lot of school children are wasting time on the road, going home, commuting, looking for school fees. If we can address that, we can speak to our teachers. And by the way, our teachers go a long way to make sure that they redeem any lost time that is lost. We can get these learners to catch up. If the schools that have not opened yet are also schools that face teacher shortages, it is time to address that shortage so that when they are opening, they have enough teachers to be able to catch up and make up for the lost time. Because if a school delays to open for 2 weeks, and that school has teacher shortages, it is never going to be able to catch up, because already they are going to always remain behind anyways, even if they opened on time, and now they have lost time, so they won't be able to make up. So let us look at those things that make learners lose time and address them before we reopen those schools, especially making sure that they are habitable. Because I was in Nyando and I saw schools being overrun by water. And when that school has been overrun by water, drying up is not the condition for it to be habitable. A lot of things need to happen.
Okay.
So let us do those things.
All right. That's the conversation we'll dwell on in just a bit, but let me continue with the stories here. When you come back, we talk about that. What needs to happen now that there's been delay and some schools have not been opened? How do we ensure that every learner is brought up to speed? Do you then collapse the syllabus or do you extend the time in school? Which one works more? Best. Trevor Mbija